Hello. So I thought it would be interesting today to cover slanted or raked piles in Revit. So essentially, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the um, base, and then we're gonna nest structural columns inside, and then we're gonna uh, rotate them so that we can create slanted or raked piles. So before I get started, I would like to ask you guys to please subscribe, like, and share. And also, if you want more interesting tutorials, you can join my membership in the VDC Nation. So without further ado, I think we can start. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to open up a new family template. So you're going to say under family, you're going to say new. And then in this instance, I'm just going to use metric generic model and say open. So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to establish my reference planes. So I'm going to place one on this side, the other one I'm going to place on that side, another one on that side, another one on this side. So this one is not straight. Let me just place it again. Okay, so after this, I'm just going to apply some dimensions. So, and then these two, I'm going to place two of these. I'm going to make them equal. I'm going to place another one this side, another one like that, and then make them equal. So after this, I'm just going to apply some parameters. So this one, I'm going to name it base width and say okay, and then lock it. And then this one is going to be base length and say okay, and then lock it. So after this, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change this one. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So the next thing is I'm gonna place another reference plane. So I'm gonna place one on this side, another one on that side, another one this side, and then another one that side. Okay, so after this, I'm just gonna place another dimension like that, another one that side, another one this side. So this one, I'm going to change it to 1,000 just to make them equal. I'm going to apply another one. So like that. So this one, I'm also going to change it to 1,000. So I'm going to create another parameter. So this one, I'm going to name it how clearance. So this is going to be on the x-axis and say okay. I'm going to select this dimension. I'm going to feed it the same parameter I have created. So make sure you lock them. And then this one also, I'm going to create another new parameter. So this one is going to be pile clearance. And then I'm going to name it Y and then lock it. Select this one. I'm going to feed it the same parameter, pile clearance Y. So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the front elevation. So on the front elevation, I'm going to go to create under data reference plane. I'm going to place one reference plane at 1,500 millimeters and then place the dimension. After that, I'm going to select it and then create a parameter. So this one is going to be the base depth. I'm going to say okay and then lock it. Go back to my reference level, say create and say extrusion. Select the rectangle. I'm going to place it within the bounds of these reference planes and then make sure I lock these lines. Finish so that when I change this to, let's say 6,000, it's going to move like that. Notice that the pile clearance has maintained its 1,000 parameter, its length, which is 1,000. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So let's just change this back to 4,000 millimeters. And yeah, this is what we have. So if I go to the front elevation, I'm going to drag my extrusion down, lock it, and then drag it down and then lock it. So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert, load family, metric library, and then I'm just going to go to structural columns. So let's change this to large. I'm gonna go with concrete and say concrete round and say open. So essentially structural columns work with two levels. So in this instance, I'm gonna go to the front elevation, go to create and say reference plane. I'm gonna place one reference plane down. So I'm gonna offset this one. I think it's okay at 6,500, or let's make it 6,000. So let's just extend this reference planes because they're gonna play a major role on how we construct our slanted piles. So if I go back to the reference level, I'm gonna go to create and say component, and then it's gonna allow me to place my columns. So I'm gonna place them like that. I'm gonna place one, so this one, and I'm just gonna increase its diameter. So 750, I think it's fine. We can work with that. So if I go back to the front elevation, we have under constraints, the column style, we have vertical, slanted, angle driven, slanted, and point driven. So I'm going to make it an angle driven, and then it's going to generate two drag points. So I'm going to drag it down towards this reference plane and then drag this one down towards the bottom of our base. So after this, I'm going to select rotate. Center of rotation, I'm going to say place. I'm going to place it right there. And then I'm just going to rotate it by, let's say, 10 degrees. Perfect. So let me just remove this one. So after I select this, what I'm going to do is, because I want it to conform to the shape, as you know, most of the slanted or raked piles, they sort of like have this, let me just use model lines. They sort of like a shape like that. So they sort of like shape like this. So in order for you to do that, you're going to select the column. And then after you select it, under modify column, you have these two options, attach top base or detach top base. So I'm going to select attach top base, and then it's going to open up these constraints. And then under attach column, you're going to go with the top option and then select the the top reference plane, and then it's going to change your shape like that. You're going to select it again and say attach top base. So for the bottom one, you're going to select the base under attach column and then select the bottom reference plane, and then it's going to change like that. Perfect. So after this, select your column. Just make sure you go to the reference level and then make sure that it is perfectly centered. So it is perfect. So after this, I'm going to say mirror pick axis, pick the middle reference plane, and then select the two of them and then mirror them towards the other side. So if I open up the 3D view, this is basically how they look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the front elevation. I'm going to select these two, attach. So it's set at base. So I'm going to select base first. Select this again, set it to top, select the top reference plane. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the last one. And then select it again, attach. I'm going to set it to base, select the bottom reference plane. So if I go to the 3D view, this is essentially how it looks. All right. So the next thing is for my base, I'm going to select this. I'm just going to change its material. I'm going to make it concrete cast in situ, and this is what we have. All right. So I think the last thing you can do is when you press AL or align, you select the reference plane first, and then when you hover over the top of your column, there's this blue dot that's going to pop up. You're going to select it and make sure that you log, let me just test this. So if I change this to 5,000 millimeters, it's going to change like that, but my columns are not moving. So what you can do is you can, let's see if you can attach it. Okay, it's fine. So yeah, the basis of this tutorial was to show you guys how you can create these types of columns. Obviously, there are different ways when you are using it in a project workspace. When you select it, obviously, or when you place it, you can use slanted columns, for instance. And then let's see, I'm going to change this to 750 and then go to the front elevation. So let's see how slanted column works. So if you set it to endpoint, obviously you can change it like that because it gives you 2 drag points. But to be on the safe side, you can just use the rotate and you can just follow what I did. So yeah, that's it. That was a short tutorial, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.